In One-Up's longest night, we take to Kentucky Speedway for 94 laps in the Bluegrass 400 for the One-Up Superstar Series here in Sparta, Kentucky for one of the longest races on the calendar for 41 drivers to take on for 94 laps as we'll descend into darkness here at Kentucky. Joining me in the booth for today's race is James Ellison, and this race, like I said, it's going to be a long one, but that gives drivers plenty of time to make their cars better with adjustments, and it gives them time to make moves through the field if they're starting further back than perhaps they'd like.
It's certainly going to be an interesting challenge. Excuse me, as I stumble over my words. Challenge for some of them, like as I'm looking at the starting lineup, seeing like Nelson Reeves, Mark Davey, J.Q. Halleck, they've got some challenges, and Cale Tiscar Jr. Quite a few who've been up at the front quite a bit in this season are just going to have to work on their cars in order to get up there and have a hope of winning.
And as you mentioned, the starting lineup, we can now look at it in its entirety. It is a Revolution Racing front row lockout here at Kentucky. Stephen Hunter on the pole position with his team boss Christian Vargas alongside him. Nick Ortiz starts third with Jeffrey Finguy fourth. And last week's winner, Justin Hutchinson, rounds out the top five. But those guys starting on the inside line, they can't be too confident about themselves because this is going to very much favor those on the outside line, at least at the start and on restarts. So expect Vargas, Finguy, even guys like Ben McDonnell and Roberto Cron Jr. to start making moves early and try and cement themselves into good track position before the field strings out too much.
Yeah, it's going to be real interesting watching how the guys on the drivers, I should say, just keep it neutral, should be able to run the high line and see how it goes.
And with that being said, we have 41 drivers ready to take the green flag, which is moments away, and we're ready to bring you 94 laps from Kentucky Speedway. This is the One-Up Superstar Series Bluegrass 400, and the green flag is coming up next. Stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss a second of the heart-pounding action set to take place over the next 94 laps. With an all-Revolution Racing front row, how will this race shape up over the next 141 miles? The green flag is out and the Bluegrass 400 is underway. Nick Ortiz did not get off the line very well, and that's allowed Jeffrey Finguy to maintain the gap alongside him as Hunter takes the lead, diving it off into turn one for the first time.
Yeah, it didn't take long for Hunter to establish a lead, and I don't know if Vargas, his teammate, can do anything. Well, actually, no, never mind. Here he comes. It's Revolution Racing 1-2 battle for the lead already.
And here comes Christian Vargas down the inside around his teammate Stephen Hunter, and now they're 3 wide behind for the second position, but Christian Vargas leads lap 1 ahead of Stephen Hunter, but Jeffrey Finguy is forging ahead of the 51 now as the bottom lane starts to take off in the early stages, but I fully expect that top groove to form into its own once this race gets some laps under it and once the rubber starts building up on that top groove, as there's still 3 wide for second, further behind Vargas.
Yeah, Ortiz is trying to make up for that rough start, and he's not doing too bad right now, though it's going to be the front row starters, the teammates, as Hunter goes for the lead on Vargas.
Yeah, he's not going to make anything work of it, though. I think Vargas just has the better car at the moment to hang on. As the race begins in full daylight, we expect it to descend into darkness over the course of the next 94 laps, but right now it is free and clear for the Revolution Racing team as Christian Vargas leads Stephen Hunter by 0.2 of a second. To come to complete lap number 3, Vargas continues to lead.
It's not really a surprise in my honest opinion because they got fast cars and they want to stay up front. And, there are others back there who want to do something about them, but right now it's just looking like it's going to be Revolution Racing 1-2 as Ortiz has started to fall back there.
These two drivers are the defending champions in the last 2 years, and how about this qualifying superstar, Justin Henley in the 42. He is not qualified in the top 20 all season long, but today he did, qualifying himself in the 10th position. He's made up 2 spots on the grid to be the leading rookie of the race so far, running in 8th just ahead of Jake McMillan and Daniel Bouchard completing the top 10. This is a great run from Henley, who's been unproven so far this season, but boy, he's making up for lost time now.
Yeah, I remember in the All-Star race when he got... Whoa!
Whoa!
Oh, no!
Oh, that was a super save by Justin Henley, who got hooked by Jake McMillan in the 21. That was an incredible move, and he's clearly unfazed by it, even though it let Daniel Bouchard get past the 48 position. He's working already to take that spot back in the 42 Bemidji State University Chevrolet. Look at how high Henley's going to make this move stick on the top.
Yeah, that was really close. But like I was saying before that, hold your breath a second there. Yeah, he didn't have a very good run in the All-Star race after being, if I recall correctly, voted in. It was a rough go in his first time there, but here he is battling after a great qualifying effort. He's just hanging on there, quite literally, after that close call.
But back up front, it continues to be Christian Vargas, who is extending his lead over his teammate Stephen Hunter. As I was saying before we focused in on Justin Henley, these two are our 2-series champions. They have been champions. Hunter in 2020, Vargas in 2021, and these two have combined to win 0 races this season outside of Vargas winning the Superstar Shootout at Pensacola non-points race. These guys are looking to cement themselves as championship contenders once again this year, and so far they're doing a phenomenal job, running 1-2 as we complete lap number 8.
Now, the Finn guy closing in there on Hunter, this could end the Revolution 1-2 for a moment, but I don't know. He can't do anything at this time, as looks like 4th and 5th. Well, it looked like they were going to be battling back there, but not so much now.
That is Ben McDonald and Roberto Crown Jr. battling it out for 4th and 5th. They started 6th and 8th, so good runs from both those guys to make moves up into the top 5 early on in this race. But Stephen Hunter continues to run second, about half a second behind his teammate Vargas. And as they barrel it off down in the turn 1, this whole field getting strung out, separated by about 5 seconds. These guys are all talented drivers, and they all know what they want out of their race cars. But they all want to be Christian Vargas right now. He's got the lead as we complete about 1/10 distance here at Kentucky.
Yeah, Finn guy under attack here from the 12 of McDonald. And like you said earlier, that high side, it's starting to kick in. We saw how Henley was able to reclaim the spot he lost from that save earlier, and now we see McDonald taking 4th place away. Or actually, no, correction, 3rd place.
And it doesn't look like he's done yet. He's going after Stephen Hunter for 2nd. After winning at Denver a few weeks ago in this 12 car, Ben McDonald's on a strong run of races as of late, which is very positive for him. He finished deep in the points last season, and he's looking to establish himself as a playoff contender this season, but he's got to get around the 2 fast Revolution Racing Toyotas in front to make that happen, as Hunter makes a deep move into turn 2, but has to back out of it.
Hey, it looked like he got some momentum there on Vargas, but like you said, he had to back out of it. Now McDonald's all over him. This could end up being McDonald's race if things play out right, but still a long way to go.
As Ben McDonald tries to move around Stephen Hunter for 2nd place, I think he's going to be able to do it going into 1 and 2, and he does. McDonald separates the Revolution Racing pair at the front. It is now Vargas-McDonald 1-2, with Stephen Hunter fading to 3rd, and under pressure now from Jeffrey Finguy for that position.
Yeah, I had a feeling that was going to happen. As soon as Hunter got past, he was going to come under attack, and I see it's not just Finguy who now clears, and Crown Jr. they're trying to make a move, but he's going to hold off for the moment.
Yeah, Stephen Hunter, he had a fast car to earn pole position for this race, but he has yet to lead today because Vargas got the lead from him at the very beginning, and Vargas has now led all 13 laps so far, coming to lead lap 14 as well. This is going to be a very interesting battle to keep our eye on because I think McDonald actually has the fastest car on the track right now. He just needs to find a way to get around Vargas and cement himself as the lead contender.
Yeah, right now, looking back there, I was talking about Crown Jr. possibly going after Hunter. If I just saw correctly, Ortiz is after him now. So, again, like I said earlier, he's trying to make up for that bad start, even if it's taken him a while. So, Ortiz might be able to be a factor, even just for a top 5, but he's looking pretty good right now back there.
And keep in mind, a bad start in this race is not the end of the world. It is 94 laps, so you are able to make up a lot of time over the course of this race. So it's not the end of the world for Nick Ortiz. He started third, but he's fallen back to fifth now. He's able to run in fifth for the time being, learn from what Stephen Hunter is doing ahead of him, and just work on the car on pit stops, and who knows, maybe it'll be in contention for the win at the end of the day. But McDonald now is the main challenger to Christian Vargas as they come off turn 4. To complete lap number 16, Vargas continues to lead.
Yeah, I think he's enjoying this lead, but I know he's probably got a spotter in his ear telling him to watch the 12 he's closing in.
As they power off turn 2, Ben McDonald is indeed closing in. The gap was half a second, now it's down to 0.3. Vargas has got to be careful as it looks like there's a slow car on the apron of the racetrack, and that will bring out our first caution of the day on lap number 17. Powering off of turn 4 to take the caution flag, it is Christian Vargas ahead of the field. We'll try and find who that slow car is. It looked like a gray car, and yes it is. It looks as though it is the 64 of Daniel Voiles. Yes it is Daniel Voiles in the Baron Manufacturing Toyota for Team Dayspring. After starting 32nd, he was making his way through the field, but he blew the engine on lap number 17. That'll be a caution for the first time here at the Kentucky Speedway. I have a feeling it's going to be feeding time at the zoo soon, as everybody's going to start to hit pit road here.
Yeah, that is very, very unfortunate for Voiles, because like I said, even though I didn't catch it, what you did, he was moving through the field, and that's a tough one.
But the field now cycles its way down pit road, and we can get some stories from down there as we can look at the entire field make its way down as Daniel Voiles retires from the race. But this will be critical. These cars probably will not be able to make it to the end from here, so this is not going to be their only stop at a race. Either way, this is going to be critical to see who makes it out of pit road first, as a little bit of contact was made coming in.
Yeah, this is going to be crucial. The challenge is what kind of strategy is. It looks like everybody, from what I can see, is doing a 4-tire strategy, but here we go. Vargas jumped off the start, and he is down and away. Went on in the lead, left with the lead, right in front of McMillan. McDonald.
That is Ben McDonald in second place. Roberto Cron Jr. made a big gain up in the third, but now we will see what happens to Daniel Voiles to bring out the first caution of the day in the Bluegrass 400 here at the Kentucky Speedway as Vargas makes his way out of the pits. Now we will find out what happened to Voiles to bring out the caution. So you see Voiles was running about 28th or so when this incident occurs. He was doing a pretty solid job running pretty much all by himself, but the engine just wouldn't have it, and it lets go on him. He does a good job getting out of the way of everybody else around him, but that is a tough break for Team Dayspring, especially considering Devin Fair, who, the sister car to this, is running in the top 15, actually gained a top 10 spot through the pit stops, but that is a tough break for the other Team Dayspring car. They will have a lot of work to do to get themselves ready for Washington, D.C. in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, that is very unfortunate. Now Daniel's just going to have to watch his teammate from the 08 pit box and the rest of the day, so at least there's hope for Team Dayspring yet.
Yes, that is true, and Team Dayspring has been talking about this race for a while. They were hoping to move on from a dismal race at Kansas last time out, but so far anyway, it's been bit down for them as Daniel Voiles retires with an engine failure, but their other car, Devin Fair, doing a good job, actually gained a few spots on pit road to currently run in the 9th position, just ahead of fellow rookie Justin Henley. So Fair is now the leading rookie of this race on lap number 20, and I believe we're going to have about one more lap under yellow here before we go back racing to see, because now Ben McDonald is all caught up to Christian Vargas. Now we'll see, with 4 fresh tires on it, we'll see what he can do with the 54s. The lights do go out on the pace car. We have 40 cars running on track, all of which are on the lead lap. We're getting ready to restart this race.
Yeah, I just couldn't help but notice that, look at P4 there, Bouchard, he gained some spots on pit road. I'm hopeful that will be good for him. Since he's restarting 4th, he might have a bit of a challenge for these guys up here.
Time will tell in this race, because Bouchard started pretty far down the running order, if I'm not mistaken. He is now running in the 4th spot on the racetrack. So like you said, he gained a few spots on pit road. A very good job. Daniel Bouchard started 14th. So a very good job to move up 10 spots in just the first 20 laps here at Kentucky.
And it's going to be interesting to see what these guys do on this restart, because on the start of the race they were double file, and now single file, no lap cars in the way. Any number of things could happen depending on how they do getting going, whether they spin the tires or not. So many factors in a restart.
And we're getting ready to restart the Bluegrass 400. The pace car makes its way on the pit road. Leaves us in the hands of Christian Vargas, who's led all 20 laps so far, ahead of Ben McDonald, Roberto Crown Jr., Daniel Bouchard, Stephen Hunter, the top 5, as we're getting ready to restart this race. The green flag is out. McDonald already makes a move to the high side. We're underway once again here in Kentucky.
Oh, McDonald wasted no time, but it didn't do any good, because now here comes Crown trying to get by him, and he might actually. Yeah, there he goes. I'm sure Roberto's getting the call for the spotter stand. Clear. Okay, scratch that. Not anymore.
That outside line is working well for Ben McDonald here in this 12 car. He's ripping the top very well as he powers back around Roberto Crown Jr. And now he's going to try and make a move on Christian Vargas. For the race lead, he gets cut off. Ben McDonald's making a run for it into turn 1, and he loses the motor!
Oh, no!
Says Ben McDonald. Heartbreak for car number 12 as he watches all the cars file past him. His race is running down. Oh, and he gets hit by Lane Sanders. Huge wreck off of turn 2. Caution will fly for the second time today. A massive pileup. All started when Ben McDonald blew the engine in that number 12, and it just created a huge stack up behind him. The caution will fly once again. Lane Sanders' race done in a matter of moments. Mark Davey with damage. Nelson Reeves with a lot of damage. Felix Anderson damage to the back end. A lot of cars have been torn up in this one, and it all started when the 12 just couldn't handle the pressure.
Oh, man, to watch that happen in that's so many drivers that were looking for at least a decent day, and there's Sanders. Yeah, like you said, he's done. That is one crushed Mountain Dew can right there.
It looked like Sam Denoto also with some heavy damage in the 00. He needed a strong run today to get himself up into the points a little bit. There you see him parked on pit road. Sanders pulls in. He retires from the race. Ben McDonald done for the day as well, obviously with that blown motor. But man, it caused such a huge stack up when so you can see he was making a move for the lead right here on Christian Vargas, and all of a sudden the motor just expires on it, and he was very lucky to not get spun out by Roberto Crown Jr. there. As the whole field streams past him, Lane Sanders just had nowhere to go, and he gets into the 00, who gets into the 4 of JQ Halleck. Jesse Johns with damage. Oh man, that was a great evasive maneuver by Blair in the 19. Wow. Ryan Jackson in the 68. They did a good job. Diego Yepes as well. Jason Parker had some damage in that as well. This is just a very unfortunate break, though.
That's just horrible to see, because I can imagine Vargas was probably wondering what happened, and then to hear caution was probably some hard hits right here. Halleck just went around. Many hits by Sanders, and very briefly the track was blocked. People had nowhere to go, and so many people's days ruined. They were trying to make something out of them. Here, go on board.
On board now with Lane Sanders. Cale Teskar Jr. directly ahead of him made a swift chop down to the bottom to try and get a run on Zachary Fitzwater directly ahead. But you see McDonald, and then Sanders gets caught up in maybe some fluid on the track, but either way, he clips the back of the 12, and from there it's just stack up city from here. Felix Anderson plows into him. Ethel Ross with some damage. Both the Moto Dash Racing cars were involved in this one. Jason Parker, KJ Hayes in the 46. A lot of good cars were involved in this one, and 3 of them done for the race already after completing just about 22 laps.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. You saw Molina there right at the end. It was just, he got involved in that, and like I said, heartbreak for a lot of people.
None more so than Ben McDonald, who was having such a good race in that 12 car. He was making a move for the lead. It looked like he had it set, but the engine just wouldn't hold, and you saw what happened from there on out. But The race is getting ready to restart. We're probably going to have about one more lap of under yellow before we take this restart, which we'll find out in a moment. Yes, the lights go out on the pace car. We'll have one lap left until the restart on lap 28. Lane Sanders, Sam Donotto, Ben McDonnell, all eliminated in this crash, but everybody else is still running in this race, and they're all in the lead lap as well. But I imagine some of them will be well off the pace considering the amount of damage they've sustained in this big accident here. But right now, it is Christian Vargas who continues to lead this race. Roberto Crown Jr. has now moved up into the second position. Stephen Hunter makes his way back up into third after slipping back a little bit. Justin Hutchinson now runs fourth ahead of Daniel Bouchard. Jeffrey Finguy sixth, Nick Ortiz seventh, Devin Fair, Justin Henley, Jake McMillan round out the top 10, just ahead of Anderson Reed, as we're getting ready to restart this race on lap 28.
Yeah, it's looking really good right here for those who were able to avoid being caught. Like you said, Hunter getting back up there. He'd like to get back up there and actually lead a lap after getting the pole. Last week's winner, Hutchinson, just wants something out of this, especially since, well, he wants to keep that momentum going.
Pace car is off. Christian Vargas sees the flagman with the flag in hand. He can go whenever he's ready now. Pace car is off. He keeps the field bunched tightly behind him as they head into the restart zone. Vargas takes the green flag, and we're back racing once again. No moves to the top this time. Everybody stays single file as they make their way down into turn one. Bouchard now tucks out, trying to make a move on Justin Hutchinson as they barrel off into turn one.
Yeah, there's moves starting to be made. They didn't do it right away, but now they're starting to make some moves. Like you said, Bouchard, he clears the 10, but it's the old switcheroo as Hutchinson wants that spot back.
Christian Vargas has led all 27 laps so far. Can he make it a clean sweep? Roberto Crown Jr. will certainly have something to say about that. He's got a very fast 81 under him right now. But it's the Hooters Toyota of Christian Vargas leading the way right now, ahead of a side-by-side battle that's now 3 wide between Hunter, Crown, and Bouchard that gets settled in favor of a side-by-side battle between the two Toyotas.
Yeah, that was looking because, Bouchard's going for it again, but thinks better of it. And now Hutchinson's just wanting to make some moves again, as well as Finguy watched this all happen right in front of him.
Bouchard's been very aggressive today, I noticed. Not afraid to make moves in that 73 Dodge. The highest running Dodge in the race at the moment right now. And he's making it work. He's the highest Dodge in the point standings as of right now. And he's doing a great job leading the Dodge Brigade right now. Battling for fourth with Justin Hutchinson, with the two Fords of Finguy and Ortiz watching on. But as of right now, I have a feeling that Christian Vargas is just starting to step out on this field just a little bit. He's got a 0.4 of a second lead, and I would, if I were Crown or Hunter, I'd start trying to adjust my line to try and reel him in just a little bit.
Yeah, if you want to catch the guy who's doing the best, that right now being Vargas, you gotta find a groove that he's not taking and see if it works better than what he's doing. It's the only way to work things out as Hunter peaks on the inside of Crown again.
He wants to make it a Revolution Racing 1-2 yet again, and they're losing more time to Christian Vargas by doing this. But Crown's got the top side. He's going to have a great launch off of 2, and this will allow him to get side by side with Hunter once again for the second spot. The whole top 10 separated by just about 2 seconds. But this is the battle for position right now between Crown and Hunter, settled in favor of the Kings Motorsports 81.
And they keep fighting like this, Vargas is going to keep driving away. And as we see here, they actually practically gained back all of the 2/10 they lost the previous lap right there.
At least Crown did in the 81. I don't know about Stephen Hunter. He pretty much stabilized about 0.8 back. But Roberto Crown Jr., he's looking for his first career Superstar Series win. And I fully expect this to be a very good place for him to get it in one of the longest races on the one-up calendar. And Roberto Crown Jr. doing everything he can to make sure he stays with Kings Motorsports for next year. Doing a very good job in second right now. He's just got to chase down Christian Vargas, the defending series champion. Not too hard of a task, right?
You wouldn't think so, but I've seen that he's had some good runs as Hunter's under attack from Bouchard here. But back to Roberto Crown Jr., he's done some good runs. I remember Atlanta, he was doing really good there until late in the race, but we'll see. He's chipping away a little bit here and there. Actually, it looks like he kept about the same distance this time.
As the field starts to thin out a little bit, stretch out, I should say, the top two are starting to get closer together, but Stephen Hunter's pretty much stabilized himself about 0.8 of a second off the lead. But Christian Vargas has led all 34 laps today, make it 35. Vargas looking to get his first win of the season, his first points race win of the season at Kentucky. But he's going to have to fend off two very hungry challengers, and his teammate Stephen Hunter also looking for his first win of the season. Hard to believe that a guy as talented as Stephen Hunter will be winless after the first third of the season. But that's where he stands right now, and he would love nothing more than to beat his teammate to get the first Revolution Racing win of the season.
Yeah, but to do that, he's got to get past the Kings Motorsports 81 here. Crown's right there now. He is on Vargas.
Diving it off in the turn one, the gap down to a 10th, but they're running the pretty low on the track. That's not going to generate them a lot of momentum. What Crown needs to do is get higher than Vargas and make runs. But Vargas is doing whatever he can to prevent that from happening. He's choking off the airflow to the front of the 81, and Crown's just got to find a way to break that. He's got to find a way to get clean air on the nose and to get higher up the racetrack than the 54. That's going to be the key to getting around, I think.
Yeah, Vargas is playing it smart. He knows that Crown wants to get by him. He knows that he wants to win. But at the same time, he knows that it's important to get that 54 into victory lane. So he's doing everything he can to prevent Crown from getting by.
The defending series champion with 6 career wins, 5 of which came last year en route to the championship. But he's up against a talented sophomore driver who has never won in the Superstar Series before. He's doing everything he can right now, as Stephen Hunter actually holds the fastest lap of the race at a 28.65, but that will get him a bonus point, which will help him in the championship picture. But nothing helps your championship bid more than by parking it in victory lane at the end of the day. Closing in on halfway, or about 8 laps away from that, Christian Vargas has led them all so far.
It's going to be fun to watch here as he tries to, and he looks to have gained a little bit of distance on the 81, but who's to tell as this run goes on who's going to be better, who's going to fall off. Let's have to wait and see.
But right now, it looks like they're starting to gap Hunter and Hutchinson a little bit, so it might come down to these two for the race win. But keep in mind, these guys probably still have another pit stop to make in this race, so that will shape up the strategy a lot in this race as we enter lap 41. The gap now about 1/4 of a second between Vargas and Crown. This is going to be very interesting to keep our eye on because the pit stops, it looks like the tire fall off isn't too high, but it's definitely going to make a difference, and it's going to make the undercut a very valuable strategy tool if whoever wants it can make it work. Because right now, I can look back to 8th place Devin Fair as the last guy, I think, who could pull off an undercut at this point in time and get the lead by doing so. But we're not quite halfway yet. We're 5 laps away from halfway right now. So I'd recommend going to at least then before trying to pull the trigger.
Yeah, it's going to get to the point where you got to decide. Do I want to take a chance on the undercut? Do I want to stay in the middle? Or do I want to try the overcut? What's going to work? We don't know. The only pit stop we've had so far has been under yellow.
But right now, they're not worried about pit stops at the front of the field. They're worried about track position and clean air. As now, Roberto Crown Jr. stuck in the wake of Christian Vargas, diving it off into turn 3 to complete lap number 43. 0.2 the gap between the two Toyotas at the front. A further 0.7 back to Stephen Hunter in third. Hutchinson and Bouchard ran out the top 5.
And I got to definitely say, continue to give a shout out there to Justin Henley. He's hanging in there in 9th place, and that's definitely a run that rookie needs.
Absolutely, he is yet to finish in the top 10 in his career. He's looking to do that here tonight. He missed the Pensacola 500 to start the season, but he's made every race since, doing a great job in that 42 group. And he is right now the 2nd highest rookie in the field, right behind Devin Fair in 8th, who's starting to lose touch with the lead group. But right now. And speaking of losing touch, Roberto Crown Jr. is starting to lose touch a little bit with Christian Vargas out in the front. He's got a lot of time to make it up. We still got half this race to go, but at this point in time, he's got to start thinking. He's got to start to push the go button just a little bit.
Yeah, he might be saving it a little bit so that he has a better chance toward the end, but if he saves it too much, he's going to lose that opportunity.
Closing in on halfway in the Bluegrass 400 at Kentucky, Christian Vargas has led every lap so far. If he can lead the next 3 laps, he will lock up the bonus point for leading the most laps of the day, and that'll be a big help for Christian Vargas, who, as things stand right now, is not even in the top 10 in points. Defending series champion, not even in the top 10 in points. That is a big surprise for everybody. But here comes Roberto Crown Jr. He's going to try and deny Christian Vargas a clean sweep at a lap's led as he dives it off into turn 1, but Vargas has the high groove, and that is going to prove to be the big advantage. Vargas keeps the lead off of 2.
Yeah, he tried, but Crown making that effort has brought Hunter back into the mix here. So for a while there, it looked like a 2-horse race, but now it's getting a little bit more interesting again.
Right now, Crown is in a Revolution Racing sandwich right here between Vargas and Hunter, but I think... Oh, and we've got trouble, big trouble, in turn 1. The caution flag is flown here for the 3rd time today. Oh, and it's J.Q. Halleck involved in another incident after the trouble of the incident at lap 22. More issues have plagued this 4-car as their two teammates have continued to run rampant at the front of the field. Their Revolution Racing's 3rd car has not had a very good day, but what this has allowed now is it's allowed everybody to make their final pit stops under caution. So throw out any talk about overcuts and undercuts. We're all coming in for fuel and tires right here.
Yeah, this is looking like it's going to be this is going to be crucial right here, especially for Vargas, who's been, as we've been discussing, dominant. So we'll see what happens here as they start peeling off to their stalls. What's going to happen? 4 tires, 2 tires, what's going to happen?
At this point, I fully expect 4 tires for everybody, because they're going to have about half the race to make on this set of tires if we don't get another yellow. So I would take 4 right here just as insurance, and if a late caution comes, then maybe take 2. But it looks like, yes, everybody's taking 4 right here. Vargas is going to exit the pits ahead of Crown right here, and Hunter of another slow stop. I think that might put him behind Daniel Bouchard, and yes, it does. So move the 73 up to 3rd spot, as now we look to what happens to J.Q. Halleck to bring out this 3rd caution of the race here in the Bluegrass 400 here. So Halleck was running all by themselves at the back of the pack. I'm not sure what exactly caused this. He has a lot of damage on the front end, and is this going to be... Oh, I think it's a tire that let go on the 4. He just lost the control of the car going into turn 1. And they just slide up into the outside wall, and that has all the makings of a right front tire going down on that 4 car. It's unfortunate, but that just happens when you run the risk of blowing tires out.
It's unfortunate because it was just a matter of point saving for Halleck from here on out, but the tire just said, nope, not today.
As you can see, the tire just let go down the straightaway, and Halleck comes to a rest against the outside wall. That will take Halleck off the lead lap right here, but I have a feeling they might be trying to ready to continue on in this race. Despite all this, they're going to spend as much time as they need now to patch up the car, and yes, there you see the 4 coming back onto the racetrack, 2 laps down, but will be ready to rejoin this race and take their place at the front of the field once this race restarts, as the only car at this point one or more laps down.
Yeah, this is going to throw a bit of a factor into how you try to move around, especially since that 4 is going to be a lot slower than the leaders. So the moves that are going to be made are going to be key, especially for anyone trying to steal this win away from Vargas.
So as Halleck rejoins the tail end of the field, there you see all of them right there. And Halleck's just going to bypass them all because we've gotten the 1-to-go signal from the flag stand. So Halleck will take their place as the only car 1 laps down, right alongside team owner Christian Vargas. And we're going to get ready to restart this race on lap number 52 with Vargas leading Crown, Bouchard, Hunter, and Ortiz now the top 5.
Yeah, that's gonna be a bit awkward. Drive up there or beside the 54, give Vargas a wave, and then just get ready for the restart. But it's looking really good right here. I think looks like Henley gained a spot as on there. The field has shuffled a little bit. I'm actually seeing a couple of drivers I didn't see earlier in the race, unless they snuck in before the caution and I didn't notice. The 18 and the 02 now are in the top 10.
I was just about to mention that. Cale Tescar Jr. in the 02, Jared Polansky in the 18, and 2 more of the Kings Motorsports cars coming up to join teammate Roberto Crown Jr. They're all in the top 10 now. Going to try and maybe see if they can gang up on the Revolution Racing group. But coming off of turn 4 to pace cars off, Christian Vargas leads them to green once again. Going into the restart zone, the green flag is out, and we're back underway here at Kentucky on lap number 52.
At the 4, Halleck, it didn't really slow down as much as I thought. As Bouchard is now stuck behind, but looking for a way by, and of course Vargas just takes off yet again, and with Crown just like, no, you aren't, and inside he goes.
Down to try and take the race lead is Roberto Crown Jr., but once again Christian Vargas has the high ground here, and that is going to allow Vargas to maintain the race lead. Coming off of turn 4, Vargas will lead lap 52, and he is locked up now, the most laps led of the race. He's led them all so far. So even if someone else were to take the lead and lead the rest of the way, Vargas would hold that point for the rest of the race. But right now the battle is for second between Crown and Bouchard. But looking further back, Devin Fair got held up a little bit by J.Q. Halleck, and now Justin Henley is facing the same fate. But it looks like they're all going to hang on to a top 10 spot here if they're lucky, but Halleck is just continuing to hold up the field, as right now it is Vargas by 0.3 over Crown, and now the battle is for 6 between Stephen Hunter and Jared Polansky making a solid charge. Remember, Polansky won this race a year ago by a huge margin of 19 seconds, so Polansky knows how to win here in a commanding fashion. He's trying to stop Vargas from doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, and seeing Polansky up here, it's a good thing to see, but at the same time, is he going to have time if he really wants to try to make a move on Vargas?
And behind him, his teammate, Cale Tescar Jr., the points leader, started this race in 23rd, but he's making his way through the field, getting around a fellow rookie, Devin Fair, up into the 8th spot now. So Tescar Jr. doing a very nice job working to retain the points lead, as we are now in full darkness here at Kentucky Speedway. Under the lights, love to see it. Christian Vargas holds the lead on lap 56, but the gap is shrinking between he and Crown. Will Crown try and make another move on the bottom, or will he try and find a higher line to try and get around?
Crown's tried everything to get by, and it just hasn't worked so far. So I've got a feeling that Vargas is just going to be too tough for him unless he finds something I'm not seeing.
Or at the 54 has a reliability issue like we saw from Voiles and McDonald earlier in this race. Both a Chevrolet and a Toyota have had issues as Crown makes a move for the lead once again, but it's on the bottom of the racetrack. But they remain side by side going into turn 3. Could this be the moment that Crown gets the lead? No. Vargas has the momentum off the high side, and he will clear once again for the lead to complete lap 57.
Yep. Crown needs to try the high side, like you said before. It's not working on the bottom. I don't know why he keeps trying the bottom, but here comes Ortiz now.
Maybe Crown just doesn't have a good handle on the top. Maybe Crown has not. But he's tried going up top before. Maybe the car is just too tight or too free up there, and he can't risk a solid points day by trying to go for a win and back it in the wall, for example. So maybe his best option is to just hang on the bottom for the rest of this race and take home a P2 rather than risk crashing going for the lead here.
Yeah, that would be the safe thing, but this man's hungry. He wants that first career win. You and I both know that.
Absolutely. He's a racer, and wins come above all else in a racer's mind. But he's currently hanging out in second behind Christian Vargas. We're closing in on 30 laps to go now at Kentucky. Vargas has led them all so far, but he hasn't had an easy time of it because Ben McDonald and now Roberto Crone Jr. have been breathing down his neck pretty much the entire day. So he's not had as clean a drive as Jared Polansky did here last year, but he's doing a pretty good job. He's led every lap so far, and despite all the challenges he's faced, he's been able to hold on quite brilliantly.
Yeah, and honestly, I got a feeling that if Crown keeps trying and keeps failing, he's eventually going to get passed by someone who may actually have a better shot. Well, he's not falling back too far, and it seems like every time he drifts back, he eventually catches back up. So I don't know. He's hungry, but does he have the car to give it to Vargas?
Time will tell as we close in. We now have 33 laps to go from the Kentucky Speedway. And Christian Vargas, like we said, has led all of them so far. This 54 has dominated this race. And if he were to hang on to win, he would most definitely deserve it for his first win of the season and hit the 7th of his career, which would move him one behind a three-way tie we currently have for the all-time wins lead between Jared Polansky, Stephen Hunter, and Jeffrey Finguy. But that's not. He's got to worry about navigating these final 32 laps because anything can happen. We saw it with McDonald earlier. Even if you're up front, you're not completely safe, as we've seen earlier on already.
Yeah, right now it seems like the field is kind of stabilized a little bit, even though I just saw, looks like Polansky and Teskar might have been going for it in a battle for 7th, but other than that, the top 10's pretty stable for the moment.
And now that battle between the two Kings Motorsports teammates has been settled in favor of Jared Polansky, but we now have 31 laps to go here at Kentucky in the Bluegrass 400. Vargas continues to lead the way, but Crown is still there, about 2/10 off. He's just got to hope for a mistake out of the 54 at this point, because I don't think he's got the raw horsepower to make up the difference.
Yeah, it's just gonna be hard to catch him as this run goes on, unless we get another caution, which I know nobody wants to see that except everybody who's trying to catch Vargas, who's right up here. But I know Vargas definitely doesn't want another caution, but that's probably what it's going to take, even as Crown closes in again.
And this time he actually does make the move up high, only about half a lane higher, but he is trying some different things, and that's a very good thing to do at this stage of the race, because you know time's running out, you know you got about a third of the race left to try and make something happen, and at this point, why not try something different? The worst you can do is lose maybe one spot or maybe 1/10 of a second, so why not try something different? Hope it goes your way, as now Crown starting to close back up on Vargas once more.
He keeps trying, and this time he's got to look at front and glance in the mirror every now and then, because Bouchard, he could come in and capitalize if something goes wrong with the 81.
Daniel Bouchard, who it has been a very long time since Daniel Bouchard has been to victory lane. Daniel Bouchard, it has been 42 races since Daniel Bouchard has went to victory lane. That came at Iowa 2 years ago, and that was a rather fortuitous win as well. And if Vargas and Crown have a little coming together going for the lead, that could put Bouchard in prime position to get win number 2 in very much the same way he got win number 1 2 years ago.
Oh, here we go. He's trying again. The same move. It's just not working as Ortiz closes in on Bouchard. You know, Vargas is going to keep spiking. Well, Crown was able to stay sort of side by side for a second, but nope, not going to happen.
He's got to try other things, but he knows the car won't allow him to. That is just the worst feeling, when you know you can make the pass on this 54, but the car won't cooperate anywhere but the disadvantaged groove. But you just got to keep trying. That's all you can do as a racer, to keep going for it, as we now have 25 laps to go from Kentucky, and this battle for the lead is still heating up between Vargas and Crown.
And Ortiz back there, he tried to move on Bouchard for third, but now he's under fire from the 10 of Hutchinson.
And the 51 as well, Hunter.
Yeah. Let's not forget the other two Kings Motorsports cars back there. You got Polansky and Teskar. These guys start duking it out for spots. They're going to be in contention to steal a few spots here as the race winds down.
Closing in on the end of this race, we've got about 25 to go, and Christian Vargas has led them all, but Roberto Crown Jr. has kept them honest throughout this entire race. Daniel Bouchard lurking back there in third, ahead of the two Finish Line Motorsports cars of Ortiz and Hutchinson, who won last week at Kansas. So I wouldn't put it past those two to start making noise late in the going, but they're gonna have to work a little hard to get around everybody ahead of them. But I wouldn't put it past them. They've got some very fast cars, some really good drivers, but at this point in time, you just got to start thinking about the end of the race and where you want to set yourself up to be in the final few laps of this race.
Yeah, the fact that they're side by side is not going to help, as Crown just continues to act like almost like a yo-yo. He goes up, and then he goes back. He goes back up, back and forth. He's got to be fuming in that 81.
However, they're coming up to lap Felix Anderson pretty soon in the 53. That could be a big factor in who wins this race. Lap traffic always plays a factor in settling these outcomes. We're closing in on, we got now 22 laps to go from Kentucky, and Christian Vargas just dominating this race. But he hasn't had too easy a time of it, because Roberto Crown Jr. has been there the entire day. And a win from either one of these guys would be well-deserved, in my opinion, but it would hurt for Vargas to have led 73 laps in this race and not bring home the checkered flag.
Yeah, it would certainly crush him. But at the same time, if Crown's the one who wins, he probably couldn't be too upset as long as Crown doesn't pull any questionable maneuvers. But yeah, like you said, he's kept him on his toes, and he will have definitely earned this despite the domination. Regardless, it's just mind-blowing how good Crown's been to keep him from relaxing too much.
And although now Vargas starting to pull a gap on the 81, let's see what it is at the line. It's about 0.4 of a second. So Crown lost 0.3 in one lap. That is not what the 81 wants to see. But what he does want to see is this 53 car of Felix Anderson, who's getting closer and closer in the windshield, being lapped, and that would very much help Crown if the 53 holds up the 54 as much as Crown wants him to.
Yeah, it looks like there's about I want to say, haven't seen him in the field of view here, he's probably about a straightaway away, so before the end of this race, he's definitely going to be a factor, so this could end up being Crown's night after all.
It all depends on... There's Felix Anderson right on the left side of your screen there for a moment. This could very well decide the race. If Anderson holds up Vargas as much as Crown wants, that will allow Crown to get the lead, I think, for good. Because keep in mind, Motor Dash Racing is a satellite organization to Kings Motorsports. So maybe a little organizational action here taking place, but I doubt it would come at the expense of a fellow Toyota leading the way.
Well, you never know. Some things do happen sometimes, but we'll see. And maybe, yep, he's doing it. He's holding them up a little bit, but is it going to be enough?
Coming off of turn 4 to complete lap 77 is brought Crown back into play, but I don't think it's going to be enough to get him the lead unless he makes a huge dive, and he's going to do that, but it's on the bottom of the racetrack. We've seen that not work before, and it's going to continue to not work as Vargas just barely holds on to the lead. So Anderson did what he needed to do, but it just wasn't enough.
And now he's holding up other people in the top 10, but it wasn't enough. Roberto Crown Jr. was hoping that 53 would do something to hold up the 54, but it was not to be.
However, this is not over yet, because there is another car about to be lapped soon, the 47 of Jesse Johns, who's currently about 25 seconds off the lead. So if Johns goes a lap down, that could give Roberto Crown Jr. another shot at it.
Yeah, that's it's going to be really rough to see here as Crown's on him all over again.
Into turn one is Christian Vargas with about a tenth of a second over Roberto Crown Jr. This is going to be close, though, because I think Jesse Johns is not that far up the road from these guys. And if it provides to be an issue quite as much as it was for Felix Anderson, this could be a whole new battle on our hands.
Yeah, it's looking like it's down to the 54 and the 81 here yet again, Vargas and Crown. But who's to say that, like you said before, that lap car that's still out there could play a factor? We've still got a good amount of distance to go here.
Got about 15 to go here at Kentucky, and yeah, you see the 47 just off in the distance, but it's going to be a little bit before they catch him, and this top 5 is pretty strung out, so it'll be interesting to see if the 47 gets out of the way for these guys or if he holds them up any, because if it's the former, then Vargas will be free and clear. There's the 47, but if he holds up the 54 in a similar way to the 53, Crown's a lot closer this time. So he could make the pass very easily here.
Yeah, it's all about where they catch him, though. And we've seen it in the past. Where you catch a lap car, and if they get out of the way, are going to determine who wins this race. I guarantee that.
So there is Jesse Johns on the leaderboard, 35th, running about 28 seconds off the lead. But at this point in time, it's going to be a matter of moments, as we've got a problem for one of our top 5.
Oh, no.
Nick Ortiz in the 91, his engine lets go. And now it's a Chevy, a Ford, and a Toyota that have let engines go in this race. Nick Ortiz, about 10 laps from the end, he just couldn't hang on. And that is his race over on lap 83. But here's Jesse Johns currently being lapped by Christian Vargas, and he looks like he's going to have a lot easier of a time making this move. That is not what Roberto Crown Jr. wanted to see, as now they're all clear of the 47, but Vargas continues to lead.
Yeah, it's like I said, you got to figure out where you're going to be able to get by them, if they're going to get out of the way or not. And, well, Johns got out of the way, and that's not, like I said, it's not what Crown wanted to see. So he's going to have to try extra hard here and see if he can actually make something happen.
We're in the final 10 laps now, and Roberto Crown Jr. has got to be pulling out all the stops at this point to try and get around Christian Vargas. He knows his first career win is right there for the taking, but he just doesn't have the car under him to make it happen. He's got to hope for a mistake or for a sudden burst of speed at the very end of this race to make it happen, but time is running out to make it happen because Vargas is starting to pull away.
And while we're watching this, I couldn't help but notice, looking at the top 10 running order, Polansky has gone. He's not in the top 10 anymore. I wouldn't be surprised if it was one of the lap cars that did it.
No, but one car who has made some noise up at the front is William Brock in the 93. He currently runs in the 6th position, just got passed by Cale Tesco Jr., but now that makes 2 Genesis Engineering cars in the top 10, with Bouchard in 3rd, Brock in 6th. Very good run for that Dodge organization, but I don't think anybody's got anything for Christian Vargas at the moment, unless Crown can pull something out of him right here in the very end.
It's going to take a lot, and right now Crown's got to worry about Bouchard. We were talking about him. He keeps trying to make moves, but like Crown on Vargas, it's just not working out, as now it's about 0.6 of a second between the 54 and the 81.
Yeah, I think the 81 finally used up all his stuff trying to get around Christian Vargas. So, after leading 87 laps of this race, all of them so far, Christian Vargas set to become the first driver to lead every lap and win at Kentucky, but he's still got about 6 laps to make it happen. But he's starting to get a pretty good lead. It's still half a second.
Yeah, it's definitely his race to lose now. He's been pressured all this time, and now he's looking like he's going to set sail, or at least set sail far enough that he doesn't have to worry about anyone trying to get by him anymore.
Coming to 5 laps to go here at Kentucky. This is Christian Vargas' race to lose right now, with about 0.6 of a second margin. This is all looking to be a very good day for Revolution Racing, even if the 4 of JQ Halleck is currently mired deep in the field 2 laps down, it is still going to be a good day. Stephen Hunter in the top 10. Christian Vargas likely going to go to victory lane. This is going to be a very good day for the Revolution Racing team after not much in the way of success, but we're coming to 4 laps to go, and Vargas continues to hold the lead.
Yeah, it continues to fluctuate between, as we see it here, it just went from just above 6/10 to just below. But yeah, like you said, I'm pretty sure Crown's tires are all the goods gotten out of it. As I see Teskar trying to get every position he can here coming to the end.
Closing in on 3 laps to go now. Christian Vargas powers off the corner, coming to 3 at the line. And at this point, I just don't see how this could go any way other than the win for Christian Vargas. Unless Crown can turn on the afterburners in the final 3 laps, I think this is game, set, match for Christian Vargas. Although you never know. We've seen crazier things happen before. But at this point in time, it's just Vargas has such a good car. He's got such a good car, and he's got the track position. And what we also have is a caution flag with 2 to go. That's it. This race is over. And Christian Vargas is going to be your winner, and it's Stephen Hunter, his teammate.
Oh, no.
Hunter, from 7th on the racetrack, has gone tumbling down the order, and just like that, his race too, like his teammate Halleck's, has gone down the drain, but it's going to end the race prematurely in favor of Christian Vargas, who's going to absolutely win this race.
I was literally just getting ready to bring up about how we were getting into territory where a caution would be an race ender, and it's almost as if the racing gods knew what I was about to say.
So Stephen Hunter makes his way to pit road. A disappointing way to end a race that really was a bit disappointing to begin with. From pole, didn't lead at all today, and he's going to finish well down the order today as well. But it's going to be a fantastic day for Christian Vargas, because all he has to do right now is just navigate 1 final lap under caution, and he will be your race winner here today.
Yeah, I got to say, pending any sudden issues, which I'm sure he's the only one praying it doesn't happen. But, you know, big hats off to him for being able to do this. And, of course, a big shout-out to Crown for keeping him on his toes all race long, especially after what happened to McDonald, who himself was trying to do the same thing.
So as they come down the back straightaway for the final time, and as Stephen Hunter sits helplessly on pit road watching the field finish the race without him, it will be Christian Vargas leading every single lap of the 94 here today. That will set a new record in the 1-Up Superstar Series for the most miles led in a single 1-Up Superstar Series race, the longest distance ever led by a driver in a single race. It'll be Christian Vargas if he can hang on for just about half a mile more. They come so slowly through 3 and 4 for the final time. He's hearing a lot of things in the car, but nothing's going wrong for him. And as the pace car leads them to the checkered flag, it is going to be Christian Vargas. A perfect day for the defending series champion. Gets his first win of the season and the 7th of his career in the Bluegrass 400 at Kentucky Speedway. Congratulations to the entire 54 team on a job well done. He's your winner, and he most definitely earned it here in this race today. Roberto Crown Jr., like you said, kept him honest all day long. 2nd, his career best in the Superstar Series. Daniel Bouchard, well, he started 14th, gained 11 spots on the day to finish 3rd. Justin Hutchinson 4th after keeping the good momentum going. William Brock rounds out the top 5. Cale Teskar Jr. will keep his points lead with a 6th place finish, ahead of Bobo Jones in 7th. Miles Mashburn, he and Jones, we hadn't talked about them all day long. They snuck up to finish 7th and 8th, ahead of Jake McMillan in 9th. Devin Fair rounds out the top 10 in this race. But this race was a masterclass by Devin Fair, by Christian Vargas, I should say, as now we'll take a look at what happened to bring it into this race that Stephen Hunter was set to finish in the top 10 in, but it's all for naught, and he will finish in the 35th position when this is all said and done. A heartbreaking moment for the 2020 Series champion, but that's how it goes sometimes in racing. You never quite know what to expect So they were racing pretty hard for about 7th position, but I think something breaks in the 51 right there, because he slowed dramatically into the path of Jake McMillan right there, and he just got clobbered from behind. But I think something was breaking in that car well before the 21 ever got to him.
Yeah, that is very unfortunate. To have something break only to get run into to make matters worse. Tough end to a decent day for Hunter.
But that's how it goes sometimes in Superstar Series racing. He'll definitely be ready to go at it again in Washington, D.C. in 2 weeks' time. But that's his race run and done today. That's everybody's race run and done today. Christian Vargas had a complete measure of the field. And in 2 weeks' time, we head to Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, for a special patriotic 4th of July special. And it's going to be a lot of fun out there. And I hope you'll join us as well, because that is going to be a whole new adventure for the 1UP Superstar Series and for the Nitro National Series as well. So I hope you'll join us for that, as well as we take the checkered flag in front of a lot of fans who stuck it out for the entire race here at Kentucky Speedway, and we thank them for staying with us as well. We'll see you in Washington, D.C. From James Ellison and from myself as well. We say goodbye from the Kentucky Speedway and the Bluegrass 400. It is in the books. And for the first time this season, the defending series champion, Christian Vargas, back in victory lane. After leading every single lap in a record-setting performance, he is your winner after a wild day here in Sparta, Kentucky.